Welcome back to PCOS Unfiltered. Nourish, heal, thrive. The podcast where we cut through the noise and get real about what it takes to heal from the inside out. I'm your host, Lindsay, and today we're talking about something that affects so many women, whether they realize it or not. My guest is the incredible Grace Yoon, a nurse and nutrition coach who went from caring for patients to becoming her own patient when she realized her own blood sugar and health needed serious attention. Grace didn't just manage her symptoms. She reversed them naturally through powerful lifestyle changes. Today, she's here to share her journey, break down the link between insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and PCOS, and give us practical, doable steps to start reclaiming our health. Whether you've been diagnosed, suspect you might be dealing with insulin resistance, or just want to protect your long-term health, this conversation is going to be eye-opening and empowering. As a reminder, the content shared here on PCOS Unfiltered is for informational and educational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are not intended to serve as medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or treatment plan. The information shared is based on personal experience and expert interviews and is not a substitute for professional medical guidance. Now, let's jump in. So what were the first nutrition or lifestyle changes that you made that actually felt like you got measurable results from?
So one of the big things I started doing was reading my food labels. Um, I actually wanted to see what I was eating. What is this? What is that? And so at one point I got really picky about everything that went in my body. I'm like, what will I eat? So I've learned to calm down from that. And I've just kind of chosen like 10 big triggers for me that I won't have in my food.
Yeah.
The rest maybe can come and go on an occasion here and there because my body can handle it now. But it was the food labels, understanding what was in it, colors, toxins, even the different names of sugars.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
huge. Huge. Because they sneak it in.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second one was I actually looked at my food at my receipts. How much when I went to the store, just say it was if it was Costco, how much of it was food, how much of it was clothes, or just in general on my budget spreadsheet, how much am I spending on food? And of the food items, how much of it is fresh?
I
Cucumbers, yeah,
love
okay.
that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that hit me. I'm like, hey, this Walmart receipt has it's like $50 worth of snacks. Could I have used that on something else better?
Yeah.
So that was the two other very practical things for me.
Yeah.
And then bringing in food would have been my nuts and seeds. Um, I would I removed carbohydrates from my breakfast. I removed so now I've brought back in like some sourdough. My body seems to be okay with that because the levels of gluten aren't as so high as brown bread even, or the gluten-free breads. Some of them have actually high starch.
Exactly. And added sugars and bad oils. Yeah.
Right. So if I could just remove that from breakfast, that would set me up for a great day. That would set me up for a better lunch and which sustain me for to have a better dinner. So
Yeah.
that it was hard to do all three meals. So I just started with one that I can control more. But
Yeah. That's
um
perfect.
yeah, and then I did also increase my vegetable variety. So I would stick to cucumbers and carrots because that's what my kids would have in their lunch. Okay, I'll have it, but I had to expand, as a grown up. Come on. So more cruciferous fruits for me. And I know that I had to do it slowly because the levels of bloating that I would get. So I just had to start slowly with that um, and not think that just the romaine lettuce was good enough. That's not good enough for me. I have to have the deeper colors and I have to add more. So that was another strategy for myself. And then the other strategy was for the strength training part. So
Mhm.
which one made me feel stronger? So at the beginning, it was the weights, doing the physical weight training. I still do it, but not as frequently. But I know I should probably do a lot more of it. But now for me, it's been more about mobility and flexibility.
Mhm.
So now I try to combine it, and I try not to be so rigid about just do it one way, like a lot of people say. But our body needs many different types of exercise. So for me, I would work on that. Just more of this finding strength in different ways of exercising.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have
Yes.
certain preferences as well, or
For exercising, so I've always been like a cardio freak.
it's okay?
But I feel like as I age, they say not to, but although right now I've started training for a half marathon and then
Nice.
somebody roped me into signing up for a marathon in January.
Oh,
But as I tell my clients too, like, no, I wouldn't set that as a goal for somebody
yeah,
that is not, first of all, if they don't enjoy it, like I'm not going to tell you to me, the best exercise you can do is what you enjoy.
yeah,
So whether that means, lifting weights, yoga, walking, like whatever it might be. But since that's just been my lifestyle for years,
mm,
I feel like it's also mentally my stress relief, I feel like. Where I can like just brainstorm on my runs, listen to podcasts, listen to books, so even mentally for me, I feel like that helps me so much. Um, I mean, and I love what you said about the adding in the veggies and focusing on the breakfast. I mean, I've talked about that on an episode about breakfast actually. But even just adding in and you didn't mention, I mean, you did a little bit, but you were adding in even like maybe before you were like really focusing on taking away. Like I
yeah,
think people get in that mindset of just taking away and not realizing that they need to add in these things too, because they have the nutrients that we need to support all of our hormones as well. And that, yes, it can be overwhelming at first. So you really just have to pick, okay, what am I going to tackle first? And maybe I'm not going to tackle that every day, but pick the one meal or the one food or whatever it is, the one category, um, before you then decide to add on to that because you take on too much at one time and you're
yeah.
just kind of
That was overwhelmed.
setting yourself up for failure. Yeah. I remember I used to, when we had the gym, I would talk to people about how many classes they were going to take a week. And they're like, I'm going to be here every day, or I'm going to take, 5 days a week. And I was like, no, I said, I don't like, I would love to have you here that much. But I said, let's be realistic. Let's
Yes,
shoot for like 2 or 3. And then if you can come an extra time or two, great. But I was like, in reality, life happens, especially you have kids and work and husbands and,
yeah,
all that stuff. So yeah, so you really have to just focus on kind of the one area. So I love what you said there.
yeah.
Um, what role do things like sleep and stress, movement play in reversing? I mean, we touched on those a little bit, but I feel like they don't get talked about even enough.
They play a role. They all do, and there's a reason why for most reputable health plans and coaches out there, they always include this in addressing
Hmm.
these areas. So sleep, stress, sedentary lifestyle, so decreased physical activity, they're all directly linked to high insulin, but we don't approach it at all, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the medication, and try to decrease the sugar maybe by replacing it with even worse sugars like artificial sugars.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what someone actually said. They said for me to drink Diet Coke instead of Coke. That was an example. So I sidetracked there.
Oh
But
my gosh.
so when it comes to sleep, because I'm not sure how often you did shift work, but for me, shift work
Oh my gosh.
became like the last couple of years, it was all nights.
Oh yeah.
But even just 4 to 6 hours of sleep, it increases your insulin the next day. So I know that could be just temporary, but imagine a shift worker doing it every day or
Yeah.
4 days a week, 5 days a week. So those what happens the next day is that you perceive things in your environment differently. You perceive the facial expressions of people differently. So a smile like what you just did now, to me, it's
Mhm.
a good smile, but to someone else, it's a mischievous, there's something subtly eerie there. So the
Mhm.
perceptions are different. um your choices get better because your mindset and your frame of mind is actually like working for you, not against you.
Mhm.
Then also there's time for detox and diet, especially rest for your digestive system. You need
Yes.
to give it a
Huge.
rest. It can't be
Yes.
working so long, right? Every hour. I mean,
Yeah.
it is stressful to be taking in that food, breaking it down and seeing which one is good and then distributing it, things like that, right? So,
Yeah.
um, so sleep is directly linked to high insulin, and you'll see that in a lot of people who have stressful jobs and are, probably working at home even, right? Or trying to catch up on housework while the kids are sleeping. And
Mhm.
that's really difficult. And I feel for them,
Yeah.
sedentary lifestyle. Well, if we were not using our muscles are actually going to be sending out inflammatory signals. So that's one thing. And you don't want more inflammation. And then we're also losing the largest storehouse of energy, right? Muscles are the biggest, 80% of it is where the glucose will be stored, all that
Mhm.
extra stuff. So if we don't have muscle space, then where are they going to go? They're going to be squished into the liver, or they're going to be made into fat. And then if there's no room there, then it's just sprinkled into the other parts of our body, and that's where we get our complications. So like in type 2 diabetes, it would be maybe you can't see well anymore, it starts to get blurry and patchy, so eye disease.
Yeah.
And then pancreas disease, and then you've got, the furthest one down, would be your kidney disease, right? That's the one that you can't really do anything about anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um yeah, it pays to be active. And I'm not here to judge someone who just sits on the TV and sits by the TV eating food all the time. I don't think it's like that. I think it's our lifestyle and how we work, like at the desk on the computer, and then walking over to the next office room to have another meeting, or people who are working from home who are
Mhm.
sitting in front of a screen. Let's move a little
Yeah.
bit here.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
even as healthcare professionals, you might be doing some walking, but then you get so tired you sit down to do your charting, or you sit down to have a break. And who has time to go for a walk after lunch, right? You just want
Oh,
to
yeah.
sit there. So physical inactivity is one. um, and then chronic stress as well. Those stress hormones, if they stay elevated,
Mhm.
insulin has to come in and stay elevated with them to try to maintain balance, right? So it's a little bit all of them play a role, and they all need to have some attention, right? So
Yeah. 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 And that was a good reminder for me. One of the symptoms that we didn't touch on is the frequent bathroom trips,
yeah, yeah,
especially at nighttime, I think can be a big indicator of that too, which then can contribute to poor sleep and
that's right.
again, yeah, the whole cycle. But I mean, I know when I worked night shift, I mean, I worked like 3 p.m. to 3 a.m., 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. I did the typical 7 p. to 7 a. And then I did do some day shift ones, but even those were like, it was like noon to midnight or 9 a.m., So,
Oh,
uh,
so
uh,
everywhere.
oh my gosh. Yeah, I did a lot. But I know, especially when I was working just like the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., there were days where I feel like I didn't stop eating for like 48 hours. And because I feel like they always try to kind of bunch your shifts together, but then you're off for a couple of days and you kind of try to flip back because you have a life and stuff
Yep.
to get done. And yeah, and so then it was just felt like I just was like nonstop. And you brought up the point of resting the digestive system as well. And that's a huge, huge part of it. Sure, we could go down the rabbit hole of gut health too, but that's playing a role here too. And without giving your stomach a chance to actually
Yep.
break down and process things, and like you said, kind of realize where it needs to go, and then repair those cells, while you're sleeping, then yeah, you're fighting a battle for sure. So lots of good points there. Um, I mean, I think this next question we kind of already talked about because, for the listeners, improving blood sugar control, how would that impact, hormone balance and symptoms like weight gain, irregular cycles, fatigue? I mean, like you said, it's that signaling, and the role that insulin plays in everything. That's
I know.
that's the other part. Yeah, that's the part that a lot of people don't realize. I think that's a huge takeaway even from this whole thing, if you don't take anything else away. Um, that yeah, it plays a role in all of that stuff for sure.
Yeah,
So, um, and for someone with PCOS, they could be at a higher risk of developing,
right.
type 2 diabetes. Um, I don't know if you have anything. What would you say that they could do to prevent it?
So
I can throw mine in there too, but
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
you have anything.
So when someone's diagnosed with PCOS, just correct me if I'm wrong, are they given metformin?
Not necessarily right off the bat, but yes, it is one of those popular ones that can be used. Yeah.
So that's one thing I would address too. So if they put you on metformin, what's going to happen? You're not going to see anything in your blood work that shows anything high, like in blood sugar or things like that. Not right now, but then you're masking a symptom that could possibly show up, right? And then you can probably try to deal with it a little bit better. So they won't even know that they have elevated blood glucose. So they're not going to, they're not, a lot of times when you think about elevated blood glucose, we'll think about dietary interventions or something along those lines, or we want to change the way we eat a little bit. But
Mhm.
if you don't have that, are you going to change it? So when it comes to the role of nutrition, I'm not sure how high it would be. I don't know. Is it on the higher end with PCOS, or is it more about stress control or coping?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like story, like everybody's story, everybody's
Yep.
journey can be so different. But yeah, because as we kind of talked about, like, with
Yeah.
healthcare, it's kind of like one of those things. Yes, I think for the insulin resistant PCOS, women, um, we definitely see it more with them.
Mm.
And yeah, they may not have like elevated glucose levels, but like I think if the doctor is seeing the symptoms a lot of the times, then like you said, like you kind of said, the acne and the weight gain and all that stuff, then I think they do prescribe it in those cases as well.
And in general, there is an up, I think 4 to 7 times greater chance for someone who has PCOS to develop type 2 diabetes, right? And
Yeah,
that's going to be more more prescriptions and just
yeah,
more stress onto the lady who has
exactly.
it. So yeah. Mm,
Yeah, I know. And what I was going to say is, what can you do to prevent it? I think one of the biggest things and is stress is where that plays a role. Is breathe. I say this a lot, I do. But I want people to really hear it. Yeah, like just taking a minute, start with a minute a day to just take some really deep breaths. There's some fancy ones you do 4-7-8, the box breathing, all that stuff. But even if you just take some nice big inhales and exhales for a minute, then work up to maybe a couple minutes a day or 3 minutes a day, that can instantly you can instantly see results with that. And I think that can tie in and kind of weave into, a lot of the other things. And so, yeah, I think like approaching stress is also a big part of that. Yeah.
and I think for women, there's so many uh, stressful triggers out there, right? It's work, it's family life, it's
Um,
body image, it's so much.
oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I know I see a lot with women with PCOS that, if they're not in the right relationships, um, and they're feeling either judged or it's causing more issues between husbands, significant others, whatever that might be. And then they themselves just have to deal with how their body has changed. Yes,
Mhm.
and that's just adding to all of that stress for
Right.
sure. Yeah. Um, I feel like that's kind of taking us in nice segue to this next question about mindset shifts. And so what was most important for you as far as mindset when you began this journey?
Um, so it would be, it might sound a bit cheesy, but do you know that that L'Oreal commercial where they flipped their hair and they said, "I'm worth it"?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know why, but it's not saying that it's life is all about me. I don't believe it's all about me, but I'm still worth it. I'm still worth the energy and the budgeting for some good food. Because I would budget like great gifts and food items for others, but not for me. I would take kids' leftovers, the leftover carbs, right? Maybe some of the vegetables, but probably not. But I mean, like the protein. No, I give it to them. I,
Mhm.
but I'm worth it. My body deserves it too, right?
Yeah.
So that I had to kind of believe that. I had to believe that I'm worth the effort as well, but not in
Yeah.
a vain sense, but appropriate. So that
Yeah.
the other one was that money mindset shift where I had to say, okay, I'm allowed to spend certain amount of money on myself. Yes, for my children, for spouses, my spouse, and my maybe other family members, but I can do for myself too, right? So,
Mhm.
and then more of a mindset of I want to now, this body is a gift, so I want to steward my body. I want to take care of my body. Just like when my kids were they're still growing up. I still want to, and they're into sports. So I want to feed them the right stuff. I want to
Yeah.
maximize hydration for them before they get out on the field. I want to make sure they're getting a good quality carbs and protein. Make sure they have more carbs after, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm taking care of their bodies. I want to now got to do it with mine. So
Yeah.
it's all about this is your gift. Once it's becomes more dysfunctional, and then what can it do for you? It can't carry you to those places, right? And your mind, and then everything in your body is impacted by other parts of your body, so we really want to appreciate what we have. And so that's the big mindset shift that I had to make, more about like the value of who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because you can try to take care of your kids all day, but if you don't give yourself some of that love, like you're not going to be there. You're not going to be able to do that, in the way that you want. I mean, that's the reality of it. So you definitely have to stop and say, okay, like I need to do some of this stuff, for me. And I think that's a big part of it too. I was actually listening to a podcast this morning when I was running, um, about, instead of saying like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Change it to why is it happening for me? And, what is the benefit of this diagnosis? It was actually for somebody that had like stage 3 breast cancer, um, so yeah, there's a reason it happened for her and not, to her. And it's whether that is diabetes or PCOS or anything else, okay, what's the lesson I'm going to learn from this and how am I going to grow, from this? I think is a good point. Um, so how do you help clients stay consistent, when they feel frustrated or discouraged?
Right. So when I work with them, it's more I like to have them track so that they can see visually first. Right. And so once they start doing that and they see like how many reps they got in, of like how many drinks of water, and like how many times were they able to
Mhm.
prep a good, like balanced lunch, or even take out carbs at breakfast, they get to see those checks. And then whenever you're feeling that, "Oh, I just didn't do it," you just open that up again and see, look, you did it these days, right? And you made it through those days. So,
Yeah.
give yourself some credit. This is not that I've heard it a lot about the all or nothing,
Oh
perfection.
yeah.
And and as an as an East Asian, growing up, there are parents who would enforce that perfection in everything. And especially when we're out there in the social world, present yourself well, dress well, everything has to be in place and perfect.
Yeah.
So I like shaking that off, because no, in reality, nobody is. Who can be, unless you're just making clips for, TikTok or something to show. But I don't, yeah, we aren't. And I think there's freedom in acknowledging that, because then you get to
Mhm.
do what you need to do, make the mistakes, and then learn from it and grow and keep moving forward. And that's the thing. I don't want I don't want people to stay in that dark place. So move out, see what you've already done and accomplished, recall and remember any other joyful activities, joyful anchors or people in your life. Reach out to them, because that's why we need each other. We're human beings, and we need each other. So seek out people that can give you that word of encouragement, or
Yeah.
read, or if there's any source of peace or contentment, that you know that's why a lot of people might some people go to therapy, and that's okay with that too. If you have a faith community, go there.
Yeah.
And if you get along with your family, that's great too. Them more, you know.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, definitely that all or nothing mentality. Yeah, it's not realistic. Um, it has to be something, and then celebrate that. Even just going back to like what we're talking about. Celebrate that for the one day you had a great breakfast, or you had more veggies than you normally would have had, like whatever it might be. That's huge. And maybe the rest of the day wasn't perfect, but like it's something. It's a start. It's one step, it's a start. Um, if you could give one piece of advice to someone newly diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, or maybe just told that they have insulin resistance, what would it be?
I would say, if that doctor or that healthcare professional there, if they only give you one option, I would say to find someone else. A doctor who can give you at least two options, right? And to
Mhm.
see beyond just medication. They do care a little bit more. Okay, maybe I'm judging here. I would say they are open to providing a little bit more sustainable and more realistic, more natural ways of healing and bettering yourself. So the belief that you are part of the plan of care, not just taking medication, but your lifestyle. So if they can offer you a referral to see a nutrition counselor, or any other program that they know of, then they're thinking whole big picture. So my doctor is great. She talks about, do we have to do this, or can we go this way? So she gives me options, and so that's what I like about my family doctor. um, and sometimes we do rely on their expertise, right? We're not doctors too. We
Yeah.
do rely on them. So to have that relationship where we can access their expertise, but then they also open up other doors, I think that would be my advice.
Yeah.
I know
No,
it's
that's
repeat.
yeah, that's a great one. I mean, yeah, I know it may not be easy to try to find somebody else, that's open to that, but that's the reality is a lot of physicians aren't trained,
Mhm.
like that. And so hopefully they should be open to you wanting to, yeah, find somebody to work with on nutrition, or talking more about exercise, or whatever it might be. Um, so yeah, I love how you put that. And what does true health mean to you now? I love this one, compared to when you were
Yeah,
looking at just the
yeah,
numbers on your
yeah.
labs.
So it's not numbers. It's not just the numbers. Of course, it will reveal something, right? But again, it's that one point in time. But what brought someone to create those numbers, or their bodies to have those values in those numbers? It's that lifestyle that they have that is bringing the cortisol levels up, or it's something going on with their relationship here that is doing this. And so to fit the pieces together, I think is key to true health. It's the big picture. I mean, everything matters. Nutrition matters. It really does. I mean, a lot of people just want to take it a little bit easier and take medication, things like that. Um, and that's their choice to do that too. But when we really know that there's that nutrition, lifestyle, and in the lifestyle aspect, we have the stress component, we have the sleeping and the activity
Yeah.
component. You These are all natural ways, that we've been given that we can actually harness and grow and take measures on that we can do ourselves to create health. So true health is like you being the owner and taking care of your body, like knowing how to do that and
Yeah.
building that resilient body. You can get sick, right? That's fine. It happens. But how fast do you recover and how can you recover is that question. So true health
Yeah.
is more about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, when did it get so complicated?
I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's unfortunately how we live nowadays in this fast-paced society, and we have access to all these things, and but way back when,
Right. Right.
that that wasn't, so much of an issue, and we had foods, and we didn't have the over ultra processed, you know, handy foods to sway us from grabbing the good stuff, or we just naturally moved our bodies, without thinking about it, and stuck to our circadian rhythms and didn't work crazy, off hours and shift work. Um, but that's the reality that we do have nowadays. So you really have to do the best, with what you have.
Right.
Um, so last thing, tell us more about what you do and your practice and who you help. And then also, how can our listeners connect with you?
Right. So what I do is I help proactive women who need to calm those cravings. I help them calm their cravings, bring back the energy and into their lives, and also just have that confidence in food and bring back that balance of where food plays in their life. Because a lot of times we get scared. What do I do with it? I can't eat this.
Mm.
Whole food.
Yeah.
It's medicine. Um, so that's what I do. So it's for people who have type 2 diabetes, to help with that blood sugar balance. And all those three areas can actually help bring that balance back in. And I know I talk about blood sugar, but my focus is on insulin when I'm talking about that, because that is where it's at. So
Yeah.
that's what I do. Um, I do have a Facebook. I'm actually removing my Facebook group, but I am on Facebook, Gracing. But I am now going more deeper into the YouTube avenue. So you can find me at Nutritional Healing by Grace. It's a slow startup. It's coming, guys. It's coming. Okay, it's there. If you have any topics that you want to talk about, if you have a blood sugar, a blood glucose concern, that just let me know, and then I can pull up a video there.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. And I'll post those links to your Facebook and YouTube in the notes for this episode as well. So people have the direct links, but definitely connect with Grace. She's a great person to have in your corner for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks, Lindsay.
so thank you for taking the time to do this, and yeah, just help the listeners, whether they have PCOS or not, or they're questioning some things. And I feel like everything's kind of interconnected there for sure, like we've talked about. So just lots of great information and great tips, and I think our listeners will find it very, very helpful. So thank you again.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Grace's story is such a powerful reminder that we're never stuck with the health we have today, and that real, lasting change is possible when we address the root cause, not just the symptoms. From her journey as a nurse facing her own diagnosis to helping her clients reverse type 2 diabetes naturally, Grace shows us what's possible when knowledge meets action. If you want to connect with Grace and learn more about her work, check out the links in the show notes. And if today's conversation resonated with you, share this episode with a friend or family member who needs to hear it. You never know whose life it could change. Until next time, remember your body is capable of healing, you are worthy of thriving, and it's never too late to write a new chapter for your health.